We're standing on a perch high above the diamond recovery plant here in southwest Arkansas, just a short ways outside of the famous Crater of Diamond State Park. This is our ore bin where we feed the diamond ore. I've made a few changes here. Well, I want to point out we are 13 feet above ground level right here. Our feet are. So I had built this deck up here so that I could feed ore into the plant, because this feed bin is not as wide as the bucket that feeds it. So I had built this deck so I could come up and shovel the ore in that would spill out otherwise, because it's not wide enough. And then I was just going to shovel it in. Well, John Terrell, the dozer operator, suggested I build an inclined platform here, a chute. It's kind of like extending that chute. And that way, when I dump the ore in, this will gravity feed in. There won't be as much shoveling involved. I thought, well, that sounds good. So the plan is, he built this pad up quite a bit so we could set his excavator on here that I'm renting from him. And I'll reach over the side. We have our diamond bearing ore sitting on plywood, and it also has a wall here, a plywood wall. So I will reach over and grab that material with the front end bucket and then swing it up here, turn it around, and drop it into the feed bin. Well, I used to have a railing here that would keep you from falling off of this 4-foot by 8-foot deck. Well, the railing was in the way for the bucket to swing around, so I took the railing off, but for safety purposes, I built another 4x8 deck up here, just so that if you lost your balance and started to fall off of this 4x8 deck, you wouldn't fall 13 feet to the ground. So I supported it by hooking it to this oak tree. The other problem he pointed out was we had a low-hanging limb that came off of this oak tree. You can see the end of it there, but it used to come out and curve down and was in the way of feeding it. So he said, well, you'll have to cut that off. So I got an 8-foot extension ladder last night about dark 30 and stood up here after I got this deck built, and about 5 feet away from the tree, I cut the limb just 3/4 of the way through so that it started dangling down here. I didn't want to cut it all the way off and have it either knock me off the ladder and throw me to the ground 13 feet below and break a bone or something. So I cut it part way through and let it dangle down, and then I backed my truck up here and hooked chains to it, and I drove that direction with the truck in 4-wheel drive, and I pulled the limb the rest of the way out of the tree. You can see the end of it is a little broken there, and then that limb had a bunch of branches on it. I cut that off to burn. I'm trying to get rid of a stump anyway, so I'm burning the rest of that. That will be firewood, and I'll have that cut up here in a few minutes. But I cut it out here about 5 feet, so I still had a big piece I had to get rid of. So I started cutting it and only cut part way through as well. And when it started dangling down, I got off the ladder and I wrestled the end of it and twisted it around until I could break it off. And then I threw it down here. And since then I've cut the other branches off to be burned, and then the bigger piece for firewood. That log of oak is 5.5 inches in diameter, so it was really pretty heavy. But anyway, no diamond miners were killed in this operation, and we're getting closer to being ready to feed ore into the plant with the excavator. Always before, we've used the front end bucket of a backhoe or tractor, or we've fed the buckets in by hand by standing off the back of a trailer. But Now we're going to go big time and feed it with an excavator. So we've about got everything ready, and this platform will just add a measure of safety to it up here. And I look forward to running a volume of ore through the plant and finding a lot of diamonds. So the diamonds are here and hidden in these chunks of lamprite or in with the piles of dirt, but this is ore that we dug up from our freshly mined Worthington diamond mine about 1,200 feet away, right in this direction, right up this road. And you can see he's got his bulldozer here, and that's the truck we use as a dump truck. It's a flatbed, but it has boards on the side, and I fill it up with the excavator and drive it down here, and I backed up and dumped the ore. One time I was backing up, I got stuck and the bulldozer had to push me out, so we hauled all this gravel in here and put it down. And still, it's real soft and spongy. It's kind of like walking on a water bed, so it's going to need to sit for a little bit and get harder before I drive a truck on it, because I don't want to bury up again. But anyway, we will soon have a solid drive to back the dump truck up. In the meantime, I've got all this ore I can feed into the plant, so later I will get the excavator and start feeding. We're just about ready to go, and I'm excited about how many diamonds we'll find. Thank you for joining me on this edition of Genuine Diamonds in AR YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe and comment. Thank you.